Good. Okay, let's call to order.
Please turn on your microphones.
Sorry. There we go. We'd like to call to order the January Park Board meeting. First on the agenda, approval of minutes. Board, you have received the minutes as presented. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
And a second?
A second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Golf report.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm sure everybody's happy that 2021 is here rather than 2020. So looking forward to a good year. The only thing I've got to report, we did a little preliminary demolition on the restrooms. That is going to be done by the Friends of Sunrise. I do not have a completion date for you, but we will have it done in the spring. So we've started on that, and it will be completed by summertime. So kind of a work in progress. That's all I got, unless anybody has some questions. Anybody?
Do not.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we want to update the course finances? All right, we'll turn it over to Matt.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight's meeting, we're going to talk about the year-end results for Sunrise Golf Course. In particular, we've been addressing the fiscal issues there, bringing that to yours and the community's attention really since August. We started working on this in spring of last year. But in December, I'll just remind you what we talked about. We talked about the goal of returning the golf course to financial solvency, and that's going to involve implementing changes to the revenue expense profiles, implementing internal controls and financial analysis to improve the management of the golf course so that with better information we can better manage the course. And why is it important? Quality of life, the ability to fund future capital expenditures, which right now is non-existent, reduce stress on the overall parks budget because Sunrise Golf Course's deficits are consuming over 20% of the entire parks budget that has to be utilized for the city. And then also we need to lower operational costs to reduce the revenue burden. So we've been talking about the month-to-month operating results, and what we have here, see if I can blow this up a little bit. I'll do some high-level things here. So this is 12 months of operations at Sunrise Golf Course. There are approximately 5 categories of revenue that generated revenue of almost $371,000. The bulk of that revenue comes from green fees, which is from paid rounds as well as season member passes, and cart stickers, so as well as cart and private rental. And that produced $371,000 of revenue. If you look at the expense side of the equation, we have about 6 full-time non-seasonal staff at Sunrise, and that combined with the benefits, which is medical and pension, and the part-time labor that's used there, salaries and benefits alone was $463,000, which was 125% of the revenue collected. So as you can see here, we're not even able to break even just for salaries and benefits. Overall, through 12 months, and we were pretty close on our projections. I think back in October, we thought we would be right around the little over $300,000 mark. Looks like for the year of 2021, the deficit at Sunrise Golf Course was almost $370,000. You can equate that to losing approximately $31,000 a month. It costs $740,000 to operate the golf course, and it generated, as we mentioned up here, $370,000 in revenue. A lot of golf play at Sunrise. So as Jeff gave a report in December, golf rounds played at Sunrise were 25,806 rounds. Paid rounds were 6,759, so only 26% of the rounds of golf played at Sunrise were paying rounds, meaning non-season member rounds, and the season pass rounds were 19,047. So 74% of the rounds played at Sunrise are for the benefit of the members. If you look at the season member pass structure, right now there are 4 categories: adult, spouse, college, and high school. And you can see how that is kind of stratified across there to the 235 members. And the weighted average pass based on that category is $429 for unlimited golf for the year. In 2020, the dollar per round, or the price per round of golf, was $17, assuming they played 18 holes. And so a season member pass holder, on average, again, I know that there's categories here, but on average, would recover the full value of their member pass after 25 rounds of golf. But throughout the course of the year, the number of rounds played by, on average, by a member pass holder is 81. And so there were 13,121 rounds of golf played in excess of what we equate to the value of the pass. And that also translates to an average price per round of golf for the member pass holders, $5.29. The break-even analysis here shows that we're losing about $12 per round of golf, and that also equates to about $1,600 per season member pass holder. And although we're not suggesting this, but just for a data point, you know, if nothing occurred, and what you will hear tonight really is how do we eliminate this deficit, and we've approached it in 3 ways. Part of it is a change in fee structure. Another part is creating new revenue streams for the golf course, which are extremely important to eliminate the burden on the golfers, but also reduce overhead. But if none of those things happen, and all we did was saying what is the equivalent cost to operate the golf course at break even, we'd have to charge $1,700 per member pass. We know that that's not feasible. We're not proposing that. But the emphasis of that data point is to show you that this level of deficit isn't sustainable unless we do some things that require quite a few different approaches. Other fee structure here, again, it just breaks down the fact that we have cart stickers at $425 a year, cart storage at $300 a year, guest rider pass at $165 a year, cart rental was $13, and then if someone brought their private cart onto the course, it was $8. Board, I'll stop there and answer any questions you might have with regards to the finances, but I think the finances are pretty clear, which is this. Over the last 5 years, Sunrise Golf Course has probably been in about $1.5 million of accrued deficits. And later in Matt's presentation, you'll see what the cost of that is. There's an opportunity cost to those types of deficits, and the opportunity cost is showing up in our neighborhood park system. You'll see significant deferred maintenance in our neighborhood parks, and quite frankly, there's quite a bit of deferred maintenance at Sunrise where we've not set any funds back for large capital expenditures to deal with replacing items that are going to break down, whether it be mechanical or irrigation or something along those lines. When we operate at this significant of deficits, not only does it hurt the rest of the park system, but it hurts Sunrise the most, because you can't put money aside to replace things when they need to be replaced. And so really what happens is, over a period of time, the deficits just become too large and the deferred maintenance becomes too much, and then the city would be forced to either make a big jump in the rate structure like we're proposing to do here to try to offset some of these deficits, or it's going to be subjected to having to borrow money to correct the deferred maintenance across the entire system, and that could be in the tune of millions of dollars. Or you end up just letting Sunrise go and to continue to fall into greater disrepair, and then that hurts play. It hurts the attractiveness of Sunrise Golf Course. We think it's just an exceptional community asset that we need to preserve, but it doesn't operate itself, and you'll see later too how much reliance the city has on fees across the board to support its entire park structure. So I'll pause there, see if the board has any questions, but that's just a snapshot for 2021's deficits, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because we were talking about this beginning in August, and it's a little higher than we expected, but not unexpected.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
for that information. Director's report.
Steal that from me.
Do a little swap here for the
So for my report, it's going to be a little bit different than normal. And this is kind of picking up right where Mayor Courtney left off of the effects that it has when you have a major asset like Sunrise draining the rest of your park system. Our parks is not simply just made up of a golf course. You have your Rucker Sports Complex, your city campground, your Crystal Beach, your dog park, your Bicentennial Park, everything that's on the riverfront. You have your neighborhood parks like Oak Hill, Lorenz. The list truly goes on and on about how big our park system really is. And so yes, it may seem like a lot of money, our $1.6 million operating budget, but truly it's not when you take into consideration everything that we have that we really take care of. And what Mayor Courtney just brought up with the Sunrise alone, $740,000 right there in expenses. And so I just wanted to show a couple of examples of some deferred maintenance throughout our park system. Now this is not to say our maintenance crew doesn't do a good job, because they do what's asked of them and they do their best. We only have 3 people maintaining all of the parks outside of Sunrise. But this is just what happens when you coast by. And that's really the kind of culture that we're trying to stop right now. And so a primary example right here, our city campground made $51,000 this year looking like that. I myself am not a camper, but to me that is not a very welcoming welcome to City of Madison's campground sign. You can see right there that our campground spots, very tattered, very beaten, and very small. It's not easy to fit an RV into that spot either, and it's not a pretty sight. Not to mention with the broken paint there, minimal landscaping, things of that nature that just are not being taken care of. And so that's just one. I'm going to give 4 examples here. The second, looking at our neighborhood parks, I decided to pick on, in order, Lorenz on the left, JC in the middle, and Oak Hill on the right. And this is just a quick snapshot of those basketball courts and the kind of condition that they're in right now. I myself have never personally seen anyone playing at Lorenz or Oak Hill, and I can't say I blame them. When you have grass completely growing through the cracks all throughout the courts, you have the dirt that's piled up there that's dust that if you try to stop on, you're going to slip and fall. And so this is the kind of thing that you see when you have one asset draining away from everything else, because we have to focus on putting that money back into Sunrise instead of fixing these issues that we currently have. Another example is over by the Rucker Sports Complex, our playground for all children. On the far left, you can see in the background, I know this picture is a little small, but you have this little children's play set right here. That yellow little wheel is broken. Every single wheel throughout that a little kid acts like they're driving, every single one of them is broken and hanging all the way down. On the little shelter houses is a big hole. You have 3 of them throughout there that just simply has not been taken care of. To try to cover things up, because we don't have the money for it, just spray paint some of it blue to make it look a little bit nicer. And then the last one is still right just to the left of the playground for all children is your skate park that is seeing tattered equipment and very unappealing curb appeal there. And lastly, because it's no secret either about the golf course, we have deferred maintenance there as well. I'm going to start again on the left. We have a lot of avid golfers in here. I'm sure you're aware of the condition of our cart paths, that's deteriorating rather rapidly. You've got a lot of potholes throughout the entire course. The second one, taking a look at your pond. This has not been kept up well at all. You can see the riprap coming up there on the left, and it's really become an eyesore when that should be something that enhances that course. And then the last thing is we have a very old irrigation system that was put in the 70s that Brandon and his crew is constantly working on. It's one thing that they're going to look at that he called me today about is they want to fix it on hole 1. That fairway where there's been a lot of overgrown area, it's simply because they have a bad valve there and they cannot keep up with it because it's constantly a marsh, basically. And so this right here you have on the back 9, about 30 to 40 yards in front of a tee, or in front of a green, and you have this unplayable area. And so these are the kind of little things that you can see throughout our entire park system that really just takes away. When a big thing that Mayor Courtney ran on is clean, safe, beautiful, and we're not able to uphold those standards from the simple fact of a sunrise just taking away from everything. Do you have something to add? Okay. All right. So the second thing that I wanted to do for my report is just give a quick overview. Give a quick rec desk demo. So rec desk is the platform that we just adopted here early in January, and this is something that encompasses our entire park system. It worked this time. The big thing when we were looking for an online platform was we wanted the ability that we could do everything online, that now you can pay online, that you can reserve your tee time, you can reserve your campground spot, you can sign your child up for their youth basketball, youth volleyball, whatever it is, pay online, have the entire league run through here. If they were playing softball and there was a rain delay, we could just send out a mass text or email, games are canceled. And so it really encompasses our entire system while being affordable, while not locking us into any major contract, without any major startup fee. And honestly, when we started looking at our receipt books and our different things like that, it really pays for itself just from those simple things. So I'm just going to give a quick demonstration showing some of the capabilities here, what you're going to see on the community end. This is very, very user-friendly, and that's another thing with a lot of these platforms is they can get very complicated, but this is not one of them. So here on your opening page is your announcements and news. In this we can update. As you can see, I just did one on January 19th. Just gave a quick thing that the city campground, we closed reservations because we were going to look at changing fees. And then I set what all the fees are going to be, or the proposals right here, just kind of giving you that. So we can update that with brochures, with any big news that we have that's going on throughout the park system. And this is going to tie in very, very nicely with Hannah Fagan's working on a new website for the city itself. So that should unveil late February, early March. So we'll be able to update our logo and our pictures up here so that that all matches with their website, and it's going to look very, very well. Next, you have your programming. Right now, I just have a few in here to show you. For example, girls youth basketball is open. All it would take you to do is if you have a profile, you would click on there, select your member. I'm going to select me, for example. Your fee type. Boom, save. And again, because I have it set to where it's I'm too old for that, it won't let me. But that's truly as simple as it is to be able to sign up and have your child pay. The next line would just take you to the payment option. You'd confirm, and then you'd be able to plug in your credit card information. And once you have that already information saved, it'll take you less than 60 seconds.
Matt, so just an example.
Yeah.
In that member, will I set up my whole thing? So will I put 6 members in there? So if I sign my daughter up for that,
So yeah,
I would go down, click Ellie,
correct.
click
Your set is
individual, and then it would kick me.
Yeah, because you yourself won't be able to sign up because I think you're a little over the age for the fourth grader here, okay?
Yeah.
So it's going to be set up so that she's a subset of you, you're the parent to that,
Okay.
so that she's going to be integrated with your,
So I would just
credit
choose
card
her
information.
if she fit.
Correct.
Individual, send me the payment.
Yep. Exactly.
Because all that stuff is loaded in.
Yes, you just have to
Up
create
front.
that profile,
Okay.
and then you'll be eligible to
Okay.
do all that. Yep,
That's
good
great.
question.
On that profile page, you'll be able to list all family members on that profile page or not?
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
And it'll all be tied to me as guardian.
As long as you set it up correctly,
Okay.
yes, it will
Okay.
all be tied to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
If you have
Gotcha.
questions, you call me, I'll
Caveat,
take care
yes,
of you.
that is-
Go to computers.
Yep,
Yeah, that's, okay, thank you.
yep, good questions. So the next thing to show on here, memberships. So all of your yearly memberships, your pickleball, Sunrise Golf Course, dog park, walking pass, you name it, same kind of thing. You just click on here, enroll. Fee types are already set. You can take your pick. If you want to do a daily pass, 6-month, 12-month, and then you sign up. Like I said, very, very user-friendly. You can go through all of our different facilities. We have everything put in here. And let's just do, what's a good one here? Let's do the Broadway Fountain. Click on it. Gives you a quick little details about what it is. Added some photos there too, so you get an idea of what you're looking for. If you needed to see your maybe campground and you need to see the calendar, see what's available. Right now I have it locked, so it's not going to say that reserved, but right now certain things are reserved because we had it open for a little bit. But you could go through and check the availability for that, or for specific campsites, or if you wanted to rent out the Brown Gym for a practice, anything like that. You now have that capability on here instead of having to call, even if it was after hours or anything. And then the other portion that I mentioned is leagues. You'll be able to run all of our youth and adult leagues through here as well. So if you need to check when little Timmy's game time is, or when the practice is scheduled, how the tournament's set up, when the games are, there's no need to ask parents or questions or anything like that. All the information will be plugged in right here, and if there's anything that needs to be sent out immediately, like I said, we have that capability to send out mass information. So this truly just kind of should make everyone's life a lot easier, should help out with our participation. And then if you still need additional information, up here it has the link to our social media account, so our Facebook page too. And so that is essentially a quick run through of what all we can do with Rec Desk from the community side. On our directors end, where we can input all the information, we're able to pull up reports specifically for our different facilities, like our Sunrise. We could do daily reports, monthly, periodically, yearly, however we want to. We can do the same thing if we just want to look at a specific program, like our youth volleyball, so we can get more accurate data, quicker data, and be able to make better decisions based on that information.
One question. So I saw where you could go in as a community member to rent the Brown Gym or something. Will coaches have the ability to go in, I want field 2 at 5:30 on Wednesday,
Yes.
see if it's open, and then put my team in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they'll be,
Yep.
okay.
Any other questions, board?
We're good?
Okay.
Matt indicated that this is in combination with a complete overhaul we're doing of the city's website too. So you're going to see probably by, I want to say maybe March, a complete
Great.
update of the city's website, which this was a critical element of it too.
Yeah, that's great. That'll be definitely a good addition. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right, fund balances and claims.
And in the general fund,
There we go.
in the general fund, we have $284,166.26. In NRO, we have $54,782.50.
All right, and then members, you saw the claims. Do I have a motion to pay as approved as presented?
I make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this time, we would like to suspend the regular meeting before the public hearing. So we will do that, and we ask that each member in attendance, or each person in attendance, sign in so we have record that you did attend the public meeting for us. That is working its way around. So Matt and Mayor, whenever you are ready.
The board members could sign too.
Okay.
Everybody's here would be good.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and get started because what we wanted to do before we get into the actual proposed rates for the 3 park facilities was give a little overview as to how the Parks Department's budget is actually funded. And I think there's some interesting insights on spending a few minutes on this. So there's a few things that's relevant, and I'll toggle back and forth between the documents. But you know what's on the screen now, although the numbers are small, the numbers really aren't that relevant. It is just the fact that in 2021, you know, the money we received to operate the city, including the Parks Department, it starts really getting compiled in the summer of 2020 based upon assessed values of the real estate across Jefferson County, including the city of Madison. But you can see here, these are all of the tax rates based upon funding line item across the 10 townships and the 4 corporations, Madison being the largest corporation of the 4, with Hanover, DuPont, and Brooksburg. So these are your cities, for example, cities or towns. And the emphasis here that I've highlighted really is what the point we'll make later, which is that City of Madison residents, through their property taxes, support all of Jefferson County's operations, including City of Madison government, Jefferson County government, township government, schools, and the library. And as you go through this budgeting process with DLGF, Department of Local Government Finance, you end up getting to a point where they say, based upon the assessed value, this is how much will allow you to levy a tax against that assessed value. So the burden really for operating the majority of the city government is on property tax property owners with a property tax. But as you kind of toggle all the way down to the bottom here, as I mentioned all these different categories, even though the City of Madison's parks are public parks and they're open to the City of Madison residents, they're also open to Jefferson County residents, they're open to visitors, and they're open to tourists. However, the City of Madison, as I mentioned, supports Jefferson County's government operations, but Jefferson County residents don't support City of Madison operations. And as it relates to parks and recreation, which is its own taxing district, you can see the lone item there on the very, very far right-hand column, we get approximately 18 cents per $100 of assessed value. Now that's not 18 cents per dollar, that's 18 cents per $100. And in just a minute, you'll see why the fee discussion is so relevant here, because a pretty, relatively small part of our overall operating budget is funded from property taxes. Now I'll toggle over here, and this is again some more information leading up to the discussion about the rates in particular. City of Madison parks include 220 acres of parks and recreation facilities, an 18-hole golf course, 9 neighborhood parks, 8 tennis courts, a pickleball court, swimming pool, 13 baseball diamonds, 2 football fields, 4 soccer fields, a campground, sports complex, the Brown Gym, Bicentennial Park, Johnson Lake, and a public dog park. So as you can see, for the size of our community, we have tremendous amenities across our community for quality of life. But then again, I hope that everybody here understands that the Parks Department has to support all of these assets. And it's fortunate to have 3 or 4 revenue generating assets that other communities don't have, such as our swimming pool, our campground, a golf course, and then revenue that's created from our youth programming up at Rucker. But the City Parks budgeting process begins in June of each year, and it finalizes in December with the Department of Local Government Finance budget orders. Parks operating budget is the second largest budget of the City of Madison, behind the Madison Police Department. The Department of Local Government Finance provides the city with budgeting guidance as it relates to assessed values, tax levy amounts, and trends. In a nutshell, they tell us exactly how much tax revenue we can generate from property taxes. We don't get to provide them a budget and say, we need this much to operate with. We do provide them a budget, but there's a reconciliation process where it has to match out all of the revenue that we generate, the majority of which is coming, like I said, coming from property taxes. Parks operations is funded almost entirely by property taxes and fees. The parks are open to the public, including City of Madison and Jefferson County residents, as well as visitors and tourists. However, Jefferson County residents do not support city operations. Again, but we charge a fee when someone comes and uses some of these. Now, there's a lot of open space, like on the riverfront and our park system. There's a lot of open space that's for recreation, that has to be maintained. But when you're providing a service, there's a fee generally attached for that service. And what has brought us here tonight is to talk about those fees, particularly as it relates to Sunrise Golf Course. The 2021 property tax rate for Parks and Recreation is 18 cents per $100 of assessed value. And the total budget for the year is $1.7 million. 64% of that is funded through property taxes. And then the balance has to be funded through collection of fees for our youth programs and our facilities. So you can see here, we need a lot of fee income. And this is just to generally break even, because the parks budget itself has been deficient for quite a while in setting aside money for deferred maintenance. And DLGF is not very liberal with giving us additional monies because it's a charge against property owners relative to taxes. We have not been very good as a city in charging the right amount of fees so that we can properly maintain our park assets. And at some point in time, we come up with this intersection where we got to do what we're doing tonight if we're going to have a high quality park system. We're either going to have a high bar for ourselves or a low bar. And we've been essentially, over the course of the past year, saying that there's plenty of money to do what we want to do. The bar ought to be higher than it has been in the past, but we have to manage those resources as effectively as possible. Fixed costs, which include salaries, property and liability insurance, utilities and debt service, is $1.3 million just for the Parks Department alone. And as you can see, that exceeds the amount of property taxes we get. So 74% of the overall budget, and then some, frankly, there's some numbers that we didn't include in this, are fixed costs. So that, again, places a high burden on us relative to how we manage our resources and how we manage those assets that are fee generating. I mentioned there are no funds in the tax levy for adequate park maintenance, capital expenditures, or deferred maintenance. We've got to figure out a way to operate effectively where we set money aside, because we know that the capital items don't have an indefinite life on them. We're already dealing with a 40-year irrigation system that is causing lots of problems. Equipment breaks down. We use a lot of equipment to maintain our parks. Not to mention labor. The big issue with Sunrise, skipping ahead a little bit, or maybe even going back, is the fact that we're using a tremendous amount of non-seasonal employees for a seasonal sport. So we're not earning enough income, and we're not earning it enough throughout the year. If we could actually generate the same amount of revenue every month of the year, we'd be in a much better position. But as we mentioned, we're losing $31,000 a month because December dropped off dramatically, November dropped off dramatically. We really don't generate any income in January or February. So your opportunity to create enough revenue to support an operation like Sunrise is in a finite period of time during the course of the year. Revenue generating park assets such as Sunrise Golf Course, Crystal Beach Pool, and the campground should contribute to the overall parks operations and maintenance, not dilute it. Despite the deferred maintenance at the campground, we did generate a profit there last year of about $51,000, but there's so much deferred maintenance there, that is just a fraction of what it's going to cost to really take care of what's happening at the campground. However, we're in a much better position there because we've got some money, and as I mentioned in previous meetings, City Council, and we have a couple of City Council representatives here tonight, we passed an ordinance a few months ago that requires now any profit generated by one of these revenue generating park assets stays with that asset into a non-reverting fund, and it creates a self-funding source of capital. And the reason I think that the board is maybe struggling a little bit with what do we do now is because all of that money previously has just gone to fund deficits at Sunrise, and we haven't had an honest conversation about Sunrise for a really, really long time. But it's not sustainable. So the fee structure is a critical component to adequately funding the overall parks and open recreation spaces, and should be reviewed as such. I do want to just point out, for comparison purposes here, the Jefferson County Library budget is $1.7 million, which is funded 82% by property taxes. City of Madison's Parks Department, which we talked earlier about how many assets and the hundreds of acres that are involved in that, it's funded almost with an equal budget, but a lot less in property taxes. And the distinction there is the county budget's based upon assessed value for the entire county. City of Madison and the City of Madison Parks Department's budget is based upon the assessed value for the property inside the City of Madison. So there is even though the tax rate for the library is quite a bit less, it's based on $1.3 billion of assessed value, whereas what the City of Madison has to work with is a little over $600 million of assessed value. If this was a county park system, it would have a lot more opportunity for revenue, although the overall tax rates would have to be adjusted. So that, I'm going to pause there for just a second and ask the board if they have any questions on how the City Parks Department is funded. Because the next part of the conversation is to go into recommendations and then the actual rate proposal. But I'll pause there. And we definitely want to have some public input when we get to the rates.
Right. I don't think we have any.
Is this making sense so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because we're trying to build up to why this conversation is so relevant. So now we'll go to the recommendations, and then we'll go to the actual rate proposals. But these recommendations you've seen before, and some were implemented along the way that actually saved quite a bit of money. But we had some turnover, so we froze hiring. That generated $11,000 of savings. We eliminated the winter rate reduction. Not sure, because the rounds of golf drop off in the winter. I'm not sure exactly how much it'd save, but it did create a little additional revenue. We're proposing at some point in time to figure out, and this is the hardest part of this proposal, is reducing staffing from 6 full-time employees with benefits to 2, and everyone else would be seasonal, and that would generate almost $118,000 of savings. And what I mentioned earlier is that we've bifurcated this $300 and some odd $1,000 deficit into 3 parts, which is raising revenue by properly adjusting fees for season member pass and carts and the rounds of golf, creating new sources of revenue, which we'll get to here in a minute. But also we've got to attack our overhead structure. Our overhead structure is way too high. For comparison, St. Anne's, which is another municipally owned course in North Vernon, they have 1 full-time person with benefits. We have 6. And I think what's lost a lot in the discussion about our overhead is really the benefits discussion. When we talk about our full medical care and retirement, that adds a tremendous amount of expense. And then when you add overtime on top of that, and then the additional payroll taxes and pension that goes on top of that, these dollar amounts do not become inconsequential. We've worked hard to eliminate overtime and the use of comp time. That would save us $7,000, plus we would get better production, in my opinion. We're not quite there yet. We're still incurring some overtime there because of the deferred work that we want to get done. We want to make sure that when we roll into the spring, not only have we had a thoughtful discussion about rates, but we've also had a thoughtful discussion about the condition of the course. We've already, for the last 2 months, been cleaning up deferred items at the course between Brandon's team there and our street department. They're already doing some things at the course that will make it a better playing course in the spring. Now we're getting to summary here. Increased per round cost to $40 for weekdays, which is $25 for the green fees and $15 for cart fees. $45 on the weekend. There should be a differential here. Private carts would only be allowed if you're a season member, or you pay the same price as cart rental. And then the season pass structure, what we did here is we analyzed the 235 members who have season passes now and determined that at least 80 of them are 65 and older. And we want to encourage outdoor recreation for both our seniors and the young adults and high school kids. So what you'll see here is that we created a new tranche of rate structure for adults, seniors 65 and over, and we also continue to maintain spouse, college, and high school as well as adults. So we expanded this, and just making these changes that we've talked about here will only generate $65,000 of revenue to apply toward that large deficit. The deficit of $370,000. So we don't feel like we have created a tremendous burden on member players who are enjoying 19,000 rounds of golf and unlimited golf at the rates that we're proposing. The revised revenue assessment here, seasonal staffing changes would produce about $118,000. We will eliminate overtime, increase the per round fee with cart. As I mentioned, we go up a little bit. That generates about $68,000 of additional revenue. Modifying the season pass structure would generate about $65,000 of revenue. We need to find new sources of revenue. So corporate tea advertisers would generate approximately $45,000 if we're successful there. We would eliminate the guest rider fee, and then we would also increase the private cart rental to $15, which would generate about $8,000. So that creates a little over $300,000 of positive changes toward the deficit, but it doesn't get us out of the woods completely because we're at about $370, so we're still short about $60,000. But what we're proposing is let's start somewhere, and we acknowledge the fact that it's been a while since rates and fees and overhead structure have been properly evaluated. We would implement some supervisory control over expenditures. Matt already highlighted what we're doing with regard to improving the technology platform, which will give us better information and oversight. So here's how it breaks down when we get to the actual fee proposal. The current average cost per member round, talking averages, is $5.29. And that's a 68% discount to the price per paying round. The revised average cost per member round would go up to about $8.72, which is still producing over a 2/3 discount to a paying round. The proposed cost per senior round ends up being $9.25, which is a 2/3 discount to price per paying round. Our current break even per round of golf, it costs us $29 almost to offer a round of golf. So we're losing almost $12 per round. I don't know of very many businesses that, again, can sustain this significant of a loss in your operations. The revised break even per round of golf goes from almost $29 to about $19 to $20, which is a 20% reduction in break even costs. And the break even number of rounds for a member on average, again, averages here, is 26. So you still get unlimited, you're still getting unlimited golf. And instead of it being 25 rounds like we talked about earlier for you to recover the full cost of your membership on average, it's 26. So on average, again, you can dissect each of these individually and say the effect is more or less on an adult versus a senior 65 or older. But again, on average, we're trying to attack this problem. And the cost on average is that you have to play one more round of golf to recover the value of your membership fee. And then the revised senior season pass structure here below, assuming that, and we want everybody who's a member now to stay members, and we want to grow. This number, by the way, is probably shrank by 100% in the last several years, relative to the number of members. So that's another thing too, is that the membership has gotten smaller, so the burden of carrying the golf course has gotten larger. So we're projecting to have at least 100 adult members at $950, and then seniors would go from we'd have 80 there. It would be $750. Spouses, 10 goes to $500, and college kids and high school kids, we'd have about 45 there, and no change for them, $250 and $100. So the weighted average pass, as proposed, is $706 for unlimited golf, and that compares to $429 now. So the weighted average increase in a cost for your golf pass for unlimited golf privileges and to bring your own private cart onto the course, for example, it is $278. So that's what we're talking about, is the delta. And that doesn't get us completely to break even. Remember, going from $429 to $706 only eliminates $65,000 of that, $370,000 deficit. So we've got to, as was mentioned before, and I'll reiterate one more time, we've got to have a combination of increased revenue from the players up there. We got to generate new revenue, and we also have to deal with our overhead structure. And we may not get there entirely this year, but what we can't do is ignore the problem that we've identified and pretend that we got plenty of money to take care of our neighborhood parks and Sunrise Golf Course. So I'll pause there for a second, but now we are to the proposed rate structure for Sunrise, the Campground, and Crystal Beach. It's a lot of background, board and audience. I appreciate y'all's patience, but a lot of thought and work has gone into this. And I hope you all see the sense of urgency that we've been witnessing literally for a year. So this time we'll entertain questions from the board, and then we could, if you want to, we can open it up first to the guests who are in chambers tonight, and then have the board.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Anybody would like to speak, come forward, name?
And hopefully everybody signed in. Do we have the public hearing sign sheet? Okay. We need to do the same thing up here. Thank you, Carl. Okay, thank you. Board, I'll make one other announcement tonight because it's probably circulating out there, but the City of Madison will be participating in a public hearing in 2 weeks. We have applied for a liquor license at Sunrise Golf Course. That is another, it's not incorporated in the numbers. We're not sure we'll get it, but again, it's our approach to try to identify additional revenue sources.
Possibility. Any public comments? Come on up.
Steve Mahoney, 2045 Michigan Road. I've been a long time golfer at Sunrise since '73 and had a cart ever since that day. I had a question as far as during the pandemic, you know, we're talking about raising these fees. I know fees have to be raised, but it seems kind of high to me when people are hurting and then you're going to go as a, I'm 65, so I get a break. I just think it's a little bit too much to ask at one time, and I know we're in a deficit and has to be taken care of. The golf cart pass, if it wasn't for the Friends of Sunrise, you wouldn't have any now. They've been, we've put $100,000 in the
Sorry about that, Steve.
we've put $100,000 into the golf course over the years, and I just feel like, you know, Friends of Sunrise, we did that because we feel like that we were getting a bargain, and so I just wanted to put that out there. I think I can't speak for everybody else, but I know it needs to be raised. I just think it might be a little bit much. And another concern of mine is the out-of-town fees. I don't know if we're going to get them. I hope we do, but I think we're going to have a private golf course up there. I just don't know how many people's going to come and pay $40 and $45. That's my opinion. And what happens if we raise our fees and then we still don't get there because out-of-town play is down? So, and one other thing, at the complex, how many full-time people do we have up there?
Just one.
Just one. So do they have summer help to help him mow, or
Yes.
they do that? Have you ever thought like the high school in Shaw, subbing that mowing out, see how much that would save, and just one guy stripe the field? You might think about it. Madison High School did it. Shaw did it. It could be a big savings there.
Yeah. We're looking at all options to try to improve operations at the parks.
Okay.
For sure.
And so will Jeff get any help with the beer sales and that kind of stuff? I mean, as far as this guy works a lot of hours. And then you got Rangers, and then you got everything else. And you might think about getting somebody to help him out part-time and not come out of his monies when he's away from the golf course. So just something to think about. I just wanted to express my opinion. I was on the board for 4 years. I know they're making hard choices. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Rick Berry, 511 Brentwood. I think we probably need a point of clarification on the senior pass. Is that their age as of January 1st, or is it their age when they go to buy the pass?
That's a good question.
And it's probably unique to me and just a few other guys, but I turned 65 in April, so, you know, I could technically wait till April to buy my pass.
Yeah.
I'm glad to pay it based on January 1st, but we probably ought to clarify that so there's no misunderstanding when some of the guys that are my age weigh that out.
Thank you.
name's Don Poling. I live 131 East State Street here in Madison. If I've got to pay $13.75 to golf at this course, I'll just pay $1,300 to go to Belterra, where you have a driving range, whatever. So you guys need to consider the people you're going to lose, and your numbers are not going to be right. They're going to be skewed. So you're going to lose quite a few. I don't know if you know that. You're going to also put the course in jeopardy over the next 10, 15 years with people not wanting to come in to pay that money. So it's the future you need to be looking at too.
Thank you.
Paul Baldry, 2308 Allen Street. First off, I didn't know that we had 6 full-time employees until you, Mayor, came up there and shook things up a little bit. Second is, I'm 60 years old, or be 60 in April, disabled, and I'm like pay $900. I don't know if I can do that or not. There's other people I'm sure up there in the same boat. I think that kind of increase what you're asking for is just too much. So.
Thank you, Paul.
I have a question for Mr. Poling. When you said, so you said at Belterra it's $1,300, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's $1,300 for one person, and $2,000 if you want to bring a guest anytime.
All right, and but you can't take your cart there, correct?
No, but you use their carts.
And that includes your cart rental?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I guess my response to that would be, is it a binary decision? Then the board needs to consider that. And what I mean by that is, and I made this statement a few times, we know that some people will say, well, I have options to go out of town to play golf that's less expensive. What we're asking the community to do is support the golf course we have here. And so either the choice is going to be you love Sunrise enough to support it, or it does get too expensive and you're willing to go take that same money and go out of town for it. I'm pleading with the community here that you need to love Sunrise as much as you love playing Sunrise. And I think that's a distinction that we're offering here. We know it's a great asset, but it's not sustainable the way it's being operated now. And we want to provide something better for the people that are here. And frankly, it's already a private golf course. 75% of the play up there is from the members. What we really need to do is figure out how do we attract other people to come in and play our golf course. And when we did the market analysis in the surrounding area, we pegged these rates to where we didn't think we were outside of the market. But again, everybody's going to be making a conscious choice on what value they feel they're getting, and we hope that more people than not want to come here and play and want to come here and support Sunrise Golf Course.
I thought we would support it by being members of Friends of Sunrise, that we gave $2 every time we played to the hole-in-one pot, which the golf course got half of. And if I played 200 rounds, like you say, that's $400. That's what you're wanting anyway.
Paul, we don't have control over those funds. We don't have control over those funds. Right, so I get it. And we're talking about what we're doing to maintain our golf course here.
Any other public comments?
Now, I just want to say my biggest issue is that you're doubling my green fees. I play probably 1.5 times average on a weekend, since you like to talk average. Maybe an hour or two, 3 or 4 nights a week just over hitting balls. I'm not going to get anything out of this. This rate right here is ridiculous for me to pay. I do work close to Belterra. I get off work, I'll just go over there. So, I don't know, I just don't understand how you can raise something double and expect people to want to pay. I love Sunrise. I think it's the greatest course around. And it's in good shape. They do a good job. For my dollar, I'm not gonna pay $1,300 just because I'm gonna support that when you're doubling. Now, if you would increase it 200 this year, maybe 100, whatever, eventually I'll get there. But not just one flat double.
But,
It just
sir,
don't make sense.
I appreciate your comment, but if you're playing a couple times a week, you're in that high play category.
Well, no, I'm not, because I probably played 30 weeks. You're taking that I'm playing in December. I don't play in December. I play when it's 60 degrees or warmer. I don't go when it's less than that.
Okay.
You're taking the averages on people that's playing, 80, 90 times, and assuming that everybody's paying that.
Well, I know that there's, the way the average will work, right, is that
I understand how you get the average. I know there's so
there's
many
more
rounds,
than-
there's so many whatever.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some people who are playing a lot more than 81 rounds a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, say I play on the weekends, why don't you have a weekend membership? I don't understand. I really don't. As far as I know, the walking paths that you talked about, there was a walking path fee that I heard you mention earlier. Do we charge people to walk these paths we got? Up New Hill Road or?
No, that's open recreation area. What Matt was referring to were people that would come indoors at Brown Gym, for example, and walk. And that gym has to be operated and maintained.
So the gym wasn't a walking
Yeah.
path.
Yeah, it's probably a little misleading, but you do bring up a great point, which is we have all of these outdoor recreation areas that have to be maintained because there's no charge for them, and everybody gets to enjoy them.
Any other public comments? Okay, board. We'll open it. If someone has one, we can still. Mayor, can you go back to the other sheet?
Which one?
The,
Recommendations?
yeah, probably. The one that had the 26.
The one that had the what? Oh, 26
The
rounds.
break-even number of rounds. How did you get that 26? Is that 950 divided by 40?
No, this is working on averages. So that's the weighted average pass is going to be $706 divided by 2750, which is what a paying person would pay there. Or
Okay, so basically
26.
that 100 and 250 college and high school brought the average down.
And the seniors.
And
And the
it's,
seniors.
okay.
And the
So
seniors.
if we do 950 on 100, my numbers are 38 rounds.
Okay.
And if you pay a cart for that, that's $570. So you're paying $1,520 if you are an adult under 65.
Not sure where the 570 was coming from.
15 times 38. So if you
Oh, you're
have
saying
a cart,
if you don't
right?
have a cart, if you don't have a cart path?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you don't have a cart.
Well, you're kind of mixing, aren't you? You're saying you have a membership, but you don't have a
Correct.
cart sticker?
Well, we have 180 members and 106 stickers,
That's right.
adult members.
That's
So
right.
there's quite a few that don't pay for the sticker. They may, I guess they could come on and pay now they're going to pay the $15. So they would be in that category too. But I just want to make sure my number is correct.
Mhm.
Okay. And then if I pay the $950 and I have a cart sticker under current, I pay $1,375, which is $175 less, even though I have the privilege of my own personal cart. Is that accurate? Okay. I'll just go ahead and put my 2 cents in and then.
So,
Sorry.
remember, this is mostly for public input,
Okay.
and when we get back to the regular meeting,
Okay.
I can do we'll take action
Okay.
on the proposed fee structure. So
Okay.
I think we should see if there's any additional comments on
Okay.
the proposed rates for Sunrise or the Campground or Crystal Beach.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm Don Ward, 101 Cherry Trace, Madison. I guess I've got a few questions about this liquor license, or you kind of just slid that in right at the end there. What's involved in that? What say do the citizens of Madison have? The golfers?
There's a public hearing for that, so citizens of Madison can go and remonstrate against the liquor license. I will say that right now, there is not a single ordinance in the city of Madison that allows alcohol in any of our parks. So in our search for creating additional revenue, Mr. Ward, and reducing the actual burden on the fee-paying members, we're looking for all sources. And one of the options was, like other municipal courses have, they offer alcohol sales at the golf course.
Are there any details on that? I mean, is that full alcohol, beer only?
It would be a three-way liquor license. And it would be up to the board really to kind of shape a policy on how they're going to utilize it.
Consequences on violating that policy?
All of the above.
What are those details?
Well, it's the same details we have right now, which is alcohol is not permitted in any of the parks. So there will be a requirement for us to make sure that if we do sell alcohol there, that there isn't alcohol being brought on premises, like there isn't supposed to be now.
When we have tournaments, there is alcohol. No, there's never, when there's a tournament,
Not
not.
allowed.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Is there projected revenue on this?
We're putting those numbers together, but the way the timing worked out, Mr. Ward, is we had to go ahead and make the application because one became available. So it still has to be finalized, formalized, approved. Has to go through the county alcoholic beverage committee, and then it'll have to come through park board and city council. So there's a lot of steps involved in it.
Any timeline on that?
I would say the next 90 days if we're successful in actually getting a license.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
When is that? That's in February, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I got one more question. Steve, do you charge Hanover College golf teams of men and the women to come in, and is there a fee, or are they doing that for free?
I'll ask Jeff or Matt on answer that. It would probably be the same thing with the high school as well as the college, but
Yeah, they're not paying a fee.
okay.
Could I ask why they don't pay a fee? I mean, they don't, they're not in Madison, they're at Hanover.
Well, it's a partnership to promote youth sports, and that's the only reason I can think. I mean, maybe the board could respond because there's never been a fee assessed to the local schools, unless they get a member pass as a youth season pass holder. And then, of course, when they come over and play tournaments or they have their outing here, they pay the regular fee then. Is that correct, Jeff? Yes.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that.
Okay.
When we have tournaments, we pay fees for every golfer, not just our own. And then we also, like my daughter does play golf, she pays the fee she's a season pass holder, just like many of our golfers.
So the high school pays a fee for tournaments.
For everybody that plays.
Same thing with college.
And if they golf outside of the season, they have to have a season pass, correct?
Right.
So basically they get it during the year for their practice, and then buy a season pass for any other access.
Correct.
So every person that plays in Dillsboro or Scottsburg, they all have to pay to play at Sunrise, you're saying? If it's a three-way match?
No.
For tournaments, when we host a tournament, which we host 3,
Oh,
every
you're talking
golfer,
like sectionals or something.
sectionals, and then we have the Madison Invitational.
Right.
Every golfer, no matter where,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah. Regular matches during the season, nobody pays.
Any other public comments on any of the fee structure for Campground, Crystal Beach, or the Sunrise Golf Course?
I'd like to know about the water. Does the course pay for the water that's leaking out onto the course? How much does that cost us this year?
The water and sewer cost was $20,000 for the year at Sunrise.
Anything else before we close the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we'd like to close the public hearing and resume the regular meeting. We'll handle these one at a time, and then we can ask questions as we have a motion on that. So, do I hear a motion to approve the campground fees for the 2020 year, which would be $45 for sites 1 through 18 and $35, 19 through 34, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday would be $50 for 1 through 18 and $40 for 19 through 34. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And next would be Crystal Beach. Basically, fee structure would be 6 to 64 years old, $5 a day, 65 plus, $5 a day. Water aerobics, $5 a day. There is a season pass available for seniors of $120, and a season pass for water aerobics for $30. And there would be a punch card that if you have 5 visits, you would get a 6th visit free. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I motion.
Second?
I second.
Any questions, comments on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. And Sunrise Golf Course. The fees increases have been presented and all of that. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
A second?
I second.
Okay, questions and comments? Anybody else have questions or comments? Yes. I'm worried about the increase being so drastic. And I understand, Mayor, we've had this conversation a couple times about this. My other concern is we have a privilege of allowing carts onto our course that very few other courses have. And we did not touch that at all, and that is a privilege. So as I said earlier, if we approve these as it is, a person will pay $9.50 in the pass, have 38 rounds to make their money back for that, and then add $15 to that. That's a total of $1,520. Well, if I get a card and I buy a sticker, I pay $175 less. So I have a privilege, but I'm paying less than the person that. So I would like to see, and if I need to make an amendment to this, I would like to see a $7.50 instead of $9.50, and an increase in the cart sticker to make up that $200 to $625 to pay for the privilege. And I will go ahead and make that in a formal motion. So
We
instead
have a motion on, point of order, we have a motion on the table.
I have an amendment to that motion.
Okay. So you're moving to amend the motion that was made by
Yes.
Board Member Bronkella?
Yes.
Could you articulate
So
the motion?
my motion would be,
Yeah.
or my amendment would be, all adults would be $7.50, and the cart sticker would be $625. So it is revenue neutral. Basically, we have,
It's not revenue neutral.
it's 100 people currently at the
Well, let's
season
go through the
pass.
motion first, and then we'll have the discussion.
Okay. So, is there a second?
I'll make a second. I'll second.
Second?
I should just, because I want to hear this.
Okay.
I gotta put my head around it here.
All right. So basically, We have 100 people in that category right now, that adult category that you've presented.
So, but there's 180 adult member pass holders,
Correct.
and there's 100 golf cart sticker holders.
Correct.
So the proposal you've made would eliminate about $20,000 of revenue.
No, I said change the 950, that all adult passes would be 750. So I'm
Right, so we're losing 200 on the adults.
and gaining
But-
200 on 106 people. So actually it makes $1,200.
I don't think that's neutral.
Well, based on your numbers, you have 106, I'm changing 100 people's season pass, $200. I'm raising 106 people's fee for a cart sticker, $200. I'm putting the burden on the card holder, the private cart guy, which we have at the $15. We went from 8 to 15. So we're raising the demand on the single cart guy, private cart guy. I'm just doing it on the season pass. Cart sticker, sorry.
And what's your projected revenue on the, so you're saying we would lose $20,000 on our adult member,
Okay, so
or $25,000, excuse me.
so you have 100 members at 950, correct? That's what you're projecting. So you're going to lose
$20,000.
$20,000. And then you're going to go down here to the cart sticker where you have 106 people and you're going to generate $20,000, $21,200. So I'm making you $1,200. And no one likes the increase, but if I have my car and I get to put my clubs on it, and I get to drive home, and I get to drive to the course, and I don't have to take my clubs off, it's worth $20 a month possibly. And then no one has to pay the $450 increase. You pay the $250 this year. We're still short next year.
Well, I mean, the 100 you're talking about is still paying the same increase.
Right. Everybody's paying the $250, and then those that own a private cart and get a sticker pay $200 more. So it'll go up $450, but you have a privilege of having your own cart. You can rent a cart just like everybody else does if they want.
So you're saying the increase would be the same. It's just that
Someone else is paying.
those who bring their own cart would be paying more.
Which is, I've told, which is a nice privilege. Does anybody else have questions or comments? So we need to vote. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, well, and I think, okay, yeah. But I think what he's referring to is there's 180 adult passes. So there's 106 cart stickers. So there's 80 people that have season passes that don't own a cart that come to our facility and rent a cart. And we're going to take their fee from $500 to $950, even though those 80 additional people would normally come to our facility and spend money on a daily basis and keep our cash flow going. If we made their pass $950, because they don't have a cart, we increase them $450, they will probably select another option. Just on the basis because they don't have a cart.
Okay.
And I think in that same light, most facilities don't have private carts. Now, we are a cart-friendly community. A few years ago, we built 2 storage barns to store carts. So we're not eliminating private carts. Good assessment. Now, along that same line, since You know, we're gonna have them. Most facilities don't have private carts because that is the cash flow for the golf course.
Right.
And we haven't changed the $4.25 fee, which is a very nice luxury to have, when most places don't allow them at all. And so we didn't change that fee whatsoever and lumped it all onto the
Correct.
season pass holder.
That's my point.
And, you know, another thought I had was, Sam's Club, Costco, Amazon, all charge you a nominal membership fee of some kind. So when you go to Veterans Parkway and you got a membership at Sam's Club, you probably do some shopping there. So you offer a fee to get them when they think about coming and playing golf. I've paid my fee, we're gonna go to Sunrise. Not the reverse of that. You know, I think the higher greens fee makes it more difficult to attain that. An individual's not gonna buy the high membership fee. If that was a little lower, and maybe $7.50 is the right number, and you know, if he doesn't have a cart, he's gonna say, well, come on, let's go to Sunrise. I got a pass there already, so he brings 2 or 3 of his buddies to come and play. But a lot of those guys at $9.50, I think, are probably not gonna get the season pass. May opt to spend their money someplace else. And then if they have 2 or 3 guys that are gonna come play with them, they're gonna go, again, someplace else. And Sunrise is a great place, and Madison's a great town. And I know everybody wants to see everybody do well and wants the city to do well, and the Parks Department, and you know, that all that. But I do think that your idea is a very good one, Tim, in that trying to balance those two, because we do have 80 people that buy a season pass and don't have access to a private cart and come and rent our cart on a daily basis when they do decide to play.
And that's, if they play 38 rounds, that's gonna be 500 something that they're gonna pay, so.
Yeah, and you know that
That's $625 is still a good deal if you golf a ton.
right, and you know, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. You know, I'm going to use a guy's name, Lonnie Jester, has a season pass, has his own cart, but doesn't buy a cart sticker, and paid the $8 per time. And I asked him how many times he played, and with COVID and all that, he played like 150 rounds. So he paid $1,000 for his cart instead of $425.
Yeah.
So sometimes that occurs that way, but having the cart, I think, is enough of a luxury, and most facilities don't have it because that's where your cash flow as a golf course comes from. So, okay, that's all I got.
Any other comments, questions? And we'll vote on the number.
So I just want to make sure I understand, so we're not, I mean, the last thing we want to do is, we've been talking about this, we're not losing, with your proposal, we're potentially making a profit of $1,200.
The bulk of it, I just shifted who was gonna pay part of the increase instead of all of it on the season pass holder.
It's the season pass holder with the golf cart.
Not very many people.
I understand.
Please come to the microphone so we can
Okay.
capture all this. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pauling.
And I know there's been a lot of times, Jeff, when you've waited on carts to come in to be able to rent them out. So with this, that would even make more carts have to be available. So I don't know if you have space for carts, or you're gonna buy more carts or rent more carts, or whatever you do. You raise the carts. I don't know, what do you get out of the cart? What's the cart generated fund? What, you get $15 out of a cart?
It's been $13.
Because I have my own, I don't know what it is.
It's been, I believe,
So,
$13, Jeff?
Yeah.
$13.
so you guys get,
For 18.
you guys get the whole $13 for
Well,
a cart.
no, we
City
get
doesn't get all of it.
93% of that.
Where's the other 7%?
Goes our
Huh?
golf pro.
For what?
Carts.
Cart rental.
He gets a percentage of the cart rental.
Why is that?
It's his contract.
That was his contract.
For cleaning, for doing what? I just don't understand. That's money that could be generated too. Why is that even in the contract?
So you're asking questions about an employee contract, which,
You can't answer.
I mean, I can answer them, but
Yeah,
Jeff is here, so I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable by, he's had that same contract for 25 years.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
But you're asking a legitimate question, which is there is revenue that is being generated by people playing golf there that the city isn't getting 100% of.
yeah.
And there's
one of- yeah.
quite a few elements of that. And plus, as Tim was saying, other golf courses don't allow you to bring your cart on at all. And they don't allow, some of the other activities at the course that creates the liberty and the freedom and the fun of playing at Sunrise.
Well, and that's part of you getting
Yeah.
so many members is people who use their own car. They couldn't, they wouldn't be there. So that's part of it too. So it's not just a luxury for me. It helps you with your business.
Yeah. But Jeff is he does have a professional golfer, he's PGA member, and does have a contract with the City of Madison that designates how he is compensated.
Okay.
But no, we do not get 100% of the revenue that's generated at the golf course.
Well, my experience in business and stuff, when you're losing money, you trim the fat the best way you can. So if that means going in and restructuring stuff, you restructure stuff, you lower the amount of full-time people, whatever. There's also some, the pro shop, does it generate any money for the city, or is that
No, sir.
something else?
No, sir. No, but you're right on the point, which regarded the overhead structure, as we talked about. Again, $65,000 of the revenue is being, raised toward the deficit. $118,000 of that is earmarked to come from overhead changes, and that's going to be hard.
It's gonna be real hard.
But when you look at how other courses are managed,
It's gonna be hard for 4 people too.
you generally don't manage a seasonal sport with non-seasonal resources. Like I've said before, we don't have lifeguards paid year round. We don't have a campground attendant paid year round. We don't pay all of the Rucker staff year round. We hire 100 part-time people every summer. So there are ways that we're doing, and I appreciate all your feedback. And this is not an easy exercise at all. It's a bit of a Rubik's Cube with lots of moving parts.
Well, I know you get a gym membership, you pay $15 a month. The next month they charge you $30 from here on out. Who's going to drop that? Most people. So, I mean, if we're going to stick to the two, changing it over to the carts, and I'm paying the same, so I guess my days at Sunrise are over. So.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, let's vote on the amendment. So, amendment on the floor is basically to change the regular adult to $750 and the cart sticker to $625. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I got to wrap my head around it.
Did we get a record of the vote? Okay, unanimous?
No, I heard one yay
Oh.
and...
I'm sorry? Okay.
So
Let's do a roll
voted
call.
yes.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Okay.
So the motion on the table, which has been seconded, that we're having a roll call vote on, reduce the proposed adult member pass to $750, which would be equal with the adult senior pass, and increase the cart sticker fee from $425 to $625. Ronkella?
And we have 108 members that have card stickers. Is that accurate?
106.
106.
Yep.
106.
Maybe 105.
You won't have that many.
105.
In theory, I mean, it looks like it would generate more revenue, as Tim's saying. It is a concession that people don't have at the courses. I would say yay, or
Okay.
I would vote yay to that.
Okay. Whitaker?
Yay.
Spaulding?
Yay.
Laughlin?
I like it, yeah.
Okay. Unanimous. Thank you.
So with that, we're back to the original motion and discussion about the original with that amendment.
No, I'm sorry, the motion was amended, and then the amended motion was passed.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay, thank you, board.
At that point, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, how's this?
Next board